What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's third stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and news report for Saturday, March 20th. Hopefully you guys have an incredible weekend. Now, we have a lot of big news that has come out over the past 12 to 24 hours, so I want to address what is exactly happening at this point. First, we need to go over the possible Medicare cuts. We need to address the possible extension of the eviction moratorium. I want to talk about the problems with the $1,400 stimulus checks, and I want to address all the COVID-related news that has come out just recently. So let's jump right into it. If you guys have any questions on any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. And also feel free to subscribe so that I can continue to keep you updated on everything that is currently going on. Now, let's first address the $1,400 stimulus checks because I know a lot of people still have questions. What we are hearing right now is that the current report is the IRS has sent out over 70 million stimulus checks of $1,400 to the American people. That is the good news. However, people on Social Security have still not received their stimulus checks. This means they still haven't received their checks that have gone to their bank accounts through direct deposit. They haven't seen any checks going through the Direct Express cards. Right now, there's a lot of issues. We have been told by the U.S. Direct Express that these payments should come within the next few weeks. However, they don't specify, will the next few weeks be the next 2 to 3 days, maybe 5 days, 7 days, 14, or 21 days. A few weeks is 21 days. A lot of people cannot wait 21 days to receive their stimulus checks. However, we have been told by the IRS, the Treasury, and by the Biden administration that they are hoping all stimulus checks will be sent out by the 1st of April. No, this is not going to be an April Fool's joke, or I hope not, but the 1st of April, we are already on the 20th of March, so it shouldn't be that much longer. I would anticipate we would see stimulus checks going to every single American within the next 10 days. Well, that is at least my hope. We do know that family members of some people that are receiving their stimulus checks are not getting their stimulus checks. We are starting to get reports that there are payments going out that are not for the full amounts. They are partial payments of the $1,400. So instead of $1,400, a lot of families are only getting $700. There was many reports of families of 5. Instead of getting their $7,000, they're only getting $3,500. And there's many families of 4, instead of getting their $5,600, they're only getting $2,800. Well, here's what we are hearing at this point. And if you have already received your stimulus check, at least know this information, because if in case somebody asks you, or in case maybe you have a friend or family member that's going through this exact same thing, you could at least try to fill them in on what we are currently hearing. So here's what we know. Right now, the IRS is saying that there are some mistakes that are happening within their system dealing with mixed status families. So, being that people with an ITIN number can receive a stimulus check, you have to have a Social Security number or an ITIN number. If you have an ITIN number, you can still get a stimulus check. However, some are saying that right now they're receiving all their payments for people with a Social Security number in their family. And then what we are hearing from a few people, spokesmen, is that we could potentially see the ITIN payments come out later, or through a paper check, or through a prepaid debit card. So direct deposits for anybody with a Social Security number. But if you are part of a mixed status family, you could potentially be getting the other part of your check a little bit later on. So that could be it. There are other reports that indicate that the IRS could have sent payments to the wrong parent if the parents are separated. And this happens all the time. I know a lot of people that do this exact same thing, where let's say they have one kid, okay, and the kid spends 50% of the time with the mom, 50% with the dad. Okay, great. Well, on certain years, let's say even years, the mom takes the kids and puts the kids on her tax return. And then on odd years, okay, or vice versa, then the dad would do the exact same thing. So here's what we are seeing is that right now there's many reports saying that the stimulus checks did not go to the correct parent, but the IRS says if you didn't file, if the parent didn't file the new tax return for 2020, then the IRS doesn't know that. They sent the payment to whichever parent filed their taxes with the children on it the last year. So if that means it's the mom or the dad, that's where the check is going to go. And that's creating a lot of other issues, and that's actually causing many lawyers to get involved. And some are saying, I even had one that reached out to me the other day saying that he's been busier than he's ever been simply because of this one issue. We even had an IRS spokesperson come out and say that many people are not receiving their full stimulus amounts because they have not indicated that they had a new child. And this is something that I mentioned probably about a month ago. If you had a child in 2020, first off, congratulations. But the IRS doesn't know that. Just because there's a birth certificate does not mean anything. Just because you were issued a social security number does not mean anything. You have to file taxes, and then the IRS is going to go off of that. So once you have filed your taxes, then yes, you will be able to receive the $1,400 stimulus check for your new baby. Let's say they were born in January or let's say February of last year, and you filed your taxes before that, so you could still get your $1,200 and $600 stimulus checks, or actually it would be $500 and $600 for that child for 2020, and then you can still get the $1,400. Chances are you're going to have to wait until next year to actually go and get that, though, because it's kind of a little bit late. But that is currently what we are hearing. Now, as of last night, the stimulus checks is a big talk. There's a lot of people discussing what's going on with those. There's a lot of issues. Some things are happening very quickly. The IRS is fixing it. Other things are taking a little bit longer. We also know there are many people within Congress, many lawmakers that are currently discussing trying to get a fourth stimulus check or even a monthly recurring stimulus check for the majority of 2021. But we'll address that on a different video. But last night, we started to get word that the CDC is planning on extending the eviction moratorium extension. This is the federal eviction moratorium, so not through the state, on a federal level. And this is actually pretty big. Here's the reason why. Currently, the current CDC eviction moratorium expires at the end of this month, so in 11 days. That's coming up very quickly. However, we don't know if the CDC does do an extension, how long it will be. Some are speculating it's going to be about 3 months. 3 months. And according to recent studies, letting this eviction moratorium lapse past, if it doesn't go any further past March 31st, some are saying that studies put a total of about 1 million people will then be put on the streets due to a tsunami of evictions. This is not good. What we know is that even though the government has issued about $50 billion in rental assistance, many programs are finding that landlords are rejecting the money. Yes, they are rejecting the money for multiple reasons. Now, landlords for many programs are required to pretty much, how do I put this? They're pretty much required to take whatever the state or county or city is going to give them. Okay, so here's what I mean. Some programs are only going to pay a certain percentage, and they're going to pay that percentage, no more. So let's say you have a tenant that's behind in rent by $10,000, and let's say this program, and there's a program in Florida, many programs throughout the state, many programs throughout Florida as well, that they pay a maximum of 60%. That's their cap. So let's say you have a tenant, or let's say you as a renter, you owe $10,000 in back rent. Let's say 10 months of $1,000 per month. That's what you owe in back rent. Okay. Well, instead of the government coming in and say, hey, we're going to pay all of your rent 100%. These programs are now going to limit how much rental assistance you can get, or how much rental assistance your landlord will be able to recover. Well, here's what we know. In Florida, there's multiple programs that say we'll pay 60%. So instead of $10,000, a big chunk, they're going to pay $6,000. Okay? But then they require the landlord to forgive the other 40%. You cannot come back and try to get the additional $4,000 in rent. You just can't. You can't evict your tenant for so many months. You can't sue them for the payment that you are still owed, that $4,000, because by technically taking the $6,000, you're just going to waive the additional $4,000. Well, landlords are saying that the money that is going to be paid to them, it comes with too many restrictions, and that is why they are not accepting it. And this is coming across the United States, not just in Florida. Down in Los Angeles, what we heard, there's reports that in 2020, out of all the rental assistance that was available in Los Angeles, 50% of landlords, 50%, half of landlords rejected the payments because it came with too many stipulations. You can't evict them. You can't go back and try to get your money later. Okay? There's just so many issues. And this is what some are saying, that the government needs to step up. They need to modify these restrictions and make it so that landlords will want to accept this. Not that, oh, I have to accept this. They will want the rental assistance. So that's currently where we're at. But now that we're talking about rent and landlords, let's address one other thing. The 2020 tax deadline has been extended from April 15th to May 17th. That is good. However, like I just said, because we're discussing rent and landlords, what you need to understand is that the first quarterly taxes, the date hasn't been extended. It is still the same date. Hey, it is still the same date. It hasn't been pushed back to May 17th. So if you run a small business, I have multiple small businesses, I do have to pay quarterly taxes. Okay? If you are a landlord, okay, obviously that is part of it as well. You have to pay your quarterly taxes. So just keep that in mind. This has not been extended for you, or technically in this case, us. Now, and some more big news. Yesterday, the House voted to avert a deep Medicare cut in order to pay for this $1.9 trillion stimulus package. What we are hearing that, well, first off, this still hasn't passed the Senate, hasn't been signed into law, so there's nothing, concrete yet. But this is the first step. The House passed this, and there was actually 29 Republicans that jumped on board. Right now, recent reports indicate that because of this $1.9 trillion stimulus package, that in 2022, Medicare could potentially see a cut of $36 billion. That is like 4%. 4% of their entire fund. Now, the only reason why this would have to be done is because there's a 2010 law that's called the Pay-As-You-Go Act. Now, this would automatically offset spending by the federal government. And in offsetting, it would actually cut some federal programs. Medicare is currently one of those programs that would get some cuts. It would not be cut completely, but it would be a 4% cut right off the top. That is not good. And it's because of this and because Democrats went through a budget reconciliation, that this has to get done. There was no waiver for this. So this has to be done. And it's because they went through the budget reconciliation, they couldn't do a waiver as well. And even though 29 Republicans in the House did support this bill yesterday and voted in favor of it, this doesn't mean it's going to be a slam dunk in the Senate. Everything is different in the Senate, and we do not know how eager Republicans will be in the Senate to get this passed, but as I know more, I promise I will share more. Now, in other news, the United States reported 60,495 new COVID cases yesterday alone and 1,513 deaths. We are starting to see it is going down and staying down. However, we're also hearing that even though there has been more vaccinations, we are seeing an increasing spread of the variants of this virus that are starting to pick up. Some experts warn that too many people are opting to not wear a mask simply because they have had 2 shots or possibly even 1. However, the truth and studies show that this vaccine does not become truly effective until 2 weeks after the final dose. If you are on a 2-dose vaccine, that means 2 weeks after the second dose. Has nothing to do with the first. And if you're on a single dose vaccine, obviously it's 2 weeks after you received the shot. Now, the CDC also states that schools can now allow for 3 feet of distancing within classrooms, and this is going to help schools open up a lot quicker, and they should be a little bit more efficient. And a few studies reveal that roughly 40% of Republicans won't get the vaccine. And I'm curious, how many of you, whether you're Democrat or Republican, let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know. I will not get the shot, or I will get the shot. Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to know how many people will, won't, or maybe how many already have. So that means if we just go off of the numbers from former President Donald Trump, he received about 74 million votes in this previous election. I'm not getting into the debate as to who really won. Okay, that's for a different video, right? But if he received 74 million votes, 40% of 74 million is roughly 29.6 million people. That's 40%. So let me ask you, do you think if 29.6 million people decide not to get this vaccine, do you think we will reach herd immunity? I can tell you right now, according to Dr. Fauci, it's absolutely not. There's no way we could reach herd immunity with almost 30 million people opting to not get the vaccine. So, even though former President Donald Trump did encourage it just a couple weeks ago, and even him himself and his wife got the vaccine back in January, according to recent reports from CNN and Fox. So, right now we know, 40% of Republicans are not going to get the vaccine. However, some studies show that some have decided to change their mind because former President Donald Trump did come out and encourage it just a couple weeks ago. And in recent reports, they are now saying that the Olympic Games in Japan will prohibit any overseas spectators. So, if you were planning on going over to Japan, chances are it's not going to happen. This means that there's right around 500,000 people who previously purchased tickets to the Olympic Games that will not be able to attend. The Japanese side says that people from overseas will not be allowed into Japan around the time of the Games, and all of this is to ensure that Japan doesn't have a spike in cases during and following the Games. So, that right now, that is currently what we're hearing regarding COVID, stimulus, and everything in between. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.